Holy crap, let's do a layout update video. This is update video, we'll just say 475 because I've lost count. Come on, camera, you can focus. You're not that old and broken yet. There we go. So, yeah. So, as you can see, I'm no longer in that that garage. That nice, lovely. I say lovely, and I mean it was a nice garage, except for the lack of basic climate control. I don't remember what I talked about in the last line update video because that was over a year ago. So let's start off with why the hell am I in a small little apartment now? My relationship of 3 years with a person ended, and I just needed to find a new place to live, and I couldn't necessarily go back to my old home because it's far away from where I work. So I found a nice little apartment that, you know, I could do stuff in. So yeah, I've had to move the layout, and I decided, you know what, hell with it. I'll just reset the whole. I'll set the whole thing up, and if it gets too complicated, too compact, then yeah. I don't really spend much time in my apartment anyways. I'm either at work or I'm out and about, so I'm only usually here for at night and most of the day after work anyways. So I'll start down here at the south end of Plymouth, since I think that's our, I don't know. You can see I've got the yard lead all the way up to there. I haven't gone any further. Move a board out of the way to an open spot. Because I've got the cork laid all the way out right here to where the main line, which is this track. This is actually the siding. This is the main line here in the middle, and then this is yard lead here, and then this is the main line going through Plymouth. I've got the cork laid out. As you can see, I've been painting it black before I put down the tracks. That way later when I come to do the ballast, you know, get the black paint underneath. I still need to sand the cork along on here, do the rest of the cork down at that end, and put these two switches in. That's why I haven't put any more of the flex track in, because I don't want to have to put the track in and then cut it and fit it later. The yard lead is slightly longer than the longest track in the yard. That way I can pull that entire track out with a locomotive and bring a train into the yard. Now I've got this number 5 switch, 4, 5. It's right here. There'll be a crossover between the main and the yard lead, so that way a train can come off the main and go into the yard while another train's working the yard lead, or the yard crew's working that. I do have all the switches and all the track for the yard in. I don't have all the switch machines, you know, little ground throws or switches or whatever installed yet. I do have ballast down through the yard because that's the only thing actually holding all that track down. Which actually, it's holding it really well. It survived going 75 miles an hour down the freeway in the back of a pickup truck. It ain't going anywhere. Now, I do have a train sitting here on the main. There we go. I had it running a few minutes ago. That video's uploading, so yeah. Grand Trunk 4900 there. And this is a CSX layout. I have Grand Trunk and DT&I, but because before I decided on what railroad or what era I wanted to model, I was just grabbing anything that looked cool. And I like Grand Trunk, and it actually will have a home on the layout. The DT&I locomotive will probably eventually, I mean, I'm not going to repaint it, I'm not going to get rid of it, but it'll eventually, you know, see less layout time. Now, I don't 050, I don't pick cars up and, you know, go to get them anywhere. All of these cars you see here were switched and ran by the locomotive. Now, the layout did sit for several months, untouched, unused. I actually just got it fully set back up last night and finished and running, and I just this evening got the Kato truck down. It's actually I brought it here Monday, December 14th. Today is December 16th. So yeah, yes, I just zoomed in on the calendar because I'm too lazy to walk over there. If we continue down towards the other end of Plymouth, I do have, and you see I have all the track here now. I do have these little slide switches here. This is just experimental, but they actually work really well for throwing the switch. As you can see, if I can get in there nice and close, throwing the switch throws the points. Now the switch is wired up to the frog, So throwing the switch also throws the polarity of the frog, so the frogs are powered. These switches I picked up at Radio Shack, just super cheap. I'm going to be getting some smaller, more not as tall ones. These ones are fine, but they're big and bulky. And you see, I have two of them because I cleared Radio Shack out of all of them. They only have two. Going down a little further, I really haven't done much with this bridge here yet. I have the ground throw here in for Novi Lumber. And as you can see the way it's laid out here, let me just try and get far away. There we go. This track here is long enough for a locomotive and 2 cars, because when you're doing your switching, you have to leave your train sitting just on the other side of the bridge. You can't go into the yard, so your train is on the main line, and you can't use the passing sidings to do any runaround moves. So what you have to do is you have to bring your train in with your 1 car that you're dropping off here, come into here, then go up, pick your car up from next to the building, then come out, put that car that you picked up back on your train, go back in, spot your car, go back out with your locomotive, pick your train up, and continue on. This switch says 70. I just realized that it actually should be a different number. It should be 80, not 70. I don't know why I did that. Anyways, should it be? Or it's 75. I forget which number it is. Should be. I have to look at my notes again. Passing siding, all of this is all still good. Rite Aid, Johnson Controls is still functioning. I had to clean all the track. That little signal still works, and right now I have a manual override. You can see I can set it to green, or I can throw it to red, or let's throw it to green, and I have it sensitive enough that if I put my fingers on the track, it drops to red, goes to yellow, and then goes to green right about now. That's just one of the Atlas automatic signals. I have its entire circuitry all right there. That's its whole brain. That is functioning. Eventually I'm going to get a couple more, and when I replace this switch machine, or this ground throw here, and this ground throw over here with tortoise switch machines, and I have more of the signals in, I'm going to wire the signals up. I did put in this little road in this grade crossing. The road is actually, there's a piece of cork under here for a sub-road, and then the road is just a sheet of styrene because I wanted something kind of smooth that I could paint and then eventually detail. This road, though, is not the same as this road. There will be a backdrop right here, so they're 2 different roads. I have this switch here. Ground throw works. So you can go either down the main line, or you can do this little branch line. It's not actually a branch line, but this track here into the auto plant. Now, one of the things that did happen in that garage, the heat would cause the metal rails to expand, and the wood to dry out and contract. So the rails are going one way, the wood's going the other way, track would pop up. To solve that, I had to cut a couple little, there's one right here, and I think there's another one somewhere else. There's a couple of them. I had to cut little heat joints. They're not going to be a problem anymore because my apartment's climate controlled, so there's air conditioning and heat, and I can keep it at one set temperature. This spot right here, I needed to work a little bit. I had a couple problems a few minutes ago when I was doing some switching. I might actually have to somehow figure out how to relay this whole stretch of track, but this one needs work. The auto plant is fully in, track work-wise. I still need to put a ground throw here. But here is the auto plant where boxcars and gondolas, flat cars with auto frames and steel coil and stuff will go here. And then right here are the auto ramps for auto racks. You can see I already have one auto rack spotted. And then of course this yard here is a support yard. So when you're doing all your switching here, you pull these cars out, you put them on one track, you pull the cars you're going to drop off onto this track. So you have to do a lot of on the main line, and you have to be talking to the dispatcher in case he has to get a mainline train through. And of course, this yard here is Wixom Yard, aka Lincoln Yard. Ground throw, ground throws, ground throws, and ground throws. This switches backwards. I noticed it like after I put it in. I put it in backwards, but this is the switch for the Corex Soap Factory. I need to put a ground throw on here, and I need to put a ground throw here, but it is fully in. You can see there's a couple covered hoppers spotted there. Eventually I'll have covered hoppers on one track and tank cars on the other track. We go a little further. I had to relay. This was the only piece of track work on the entire layout that needed completely relayed. From right here, there's a rail joiner right here, all the way to about here to the diamond was actually one piece of flex track. It was actually a little further, it was like somewhere over here. That was all one piece of flex track. Well, when I was taking the layout apart, I had to cut the track right here. And it would have gone back together, and I could have either soldered the rail joints or put rail joiners on there and got it all working good, except for this was the piece that was right there, and this was part of the piece that was right there. When we were moving it, first something fell and broke this piece off of this section, and then because we set these on their side when we brought them in, this piece that was right here was stepped on, it was kicked, and was broken. And rather than try and relay it and refiddle with it and fight with it, I just cut the rail here. So now this is just one piece of track right here, and relayed this whole corner going through Holly, which it was actually a good thing too, because originally this corner had a couple little kinks in it that I didn't like, and I think I got it a little more smooth now. And then of course after this I have all this temporary Kato track. I have all the cork from Holly all the way down through Grand Blanc, through, this will actually be the AC Delco area, all the way up to right here for the yard lead, which is this short little track. Flint Yard will actually have a yard lead down at the north end up there. That's where I'll do all the switching, because that yard lead is going to be as long as the longest track. And you can see I've got the cork all laid out all the way up to right here before I ran out of cork for the main line there. But I have the Kato track just kind of temporarily set up going around this way, and yeah, I have right now, just because I haven't figured out where to put my TV or my desk. The TV is sitting in staging. That's not going to be permanent. That is temporary until I can better rearrange some other stuff. Then we follow the cork, or the Kato track. I also need to start putting away some of the boxes and stuff, but we follow the Kato track all the way back around and around right here. This piece of flex track all the way to right here is just a temporary piece of flex track, because I need to put a number 6 switch, it's actually number 7 right here, for the main line to go that way. This is actually will be the Detroit subdivision, which I'm going to put the switch in. I'm probably not going to put any of the track work in for a while, because as you can see, the Detroit subdivision is now up against a wall with an ugly-ass painting that is part of the apartment. I can't necessarily take it down. I'm probably going to put a poster over it. But I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the Detroit area district. I might just leave it as a piece of track that goes through back to staging, just as an alternative way of running trains. Now, for the Diamond and the Wise in Plymouth, I won't be able to do those. I might be able to put the Diamond in. I might be able to put a switch here and go that way towards the door, but it won't be a functioning Diamond because it's right on a curve and I don't want to have to fight with a lot. That building has lights. It does. The two buildings on the layout have lights, but we'll get that in a minute. That switch is temporarily spiked over. So yeah, we're back basically to where the video started. And this is going to be a long video because there's a lot I need to talk about. Well, actually I think that was most of everything. What was actually kind of nice is just because I put all the boards, all the legs back where I took them off of originally. And because the layout, because the garage was on a slope, the legs at the south end down here were slightly lower than the legs at the north end to keep everything level. My floor, while level, is 2 levels. I have carpet on one end and tile on the other end, which means there's a slight height difference, which worked out perfectly. I have had to do almost no leveling on this layout so far, after moving it again. I do have to take some of the legs off because they're a little crooked and straighten them out, but really don't have much leveling work to do. As you can see, I also have 2 Chessie System U23s. Yeah, so they both have decoders, they both run fine. I do have finally had a sound decoder in the Grand Trunk locomotive, as I was talking about that earlier. And that's about all I can think of. Probably not going to upload this video tonight because it's already like 8 o'clock and I need to go to bed because I have not been sleeping well. If I go to bed, I mean I'm probably going to run trains for another hour, take a shower, then go to bed. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check in the description down below for a link to the Facebook page where I make, well, I will start, now that I'm actually working at it again, start making periodic, maybe weekly, maybe daily, maybe hourly updates on what's going on with the layout, because this is my second project. I have another hobby that I've started up since moving out, and it doesn't cost as much money, but it takes up a little more time. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Later.